All right, you can begin.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming, everyone. So I'll start with a formal call to order. And now we'll start with the approval of the agenda. So do I hear a motion for that?
I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
Great. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any against, please say nay. Great, so that passes. And then the approval of the minutes from the April 3rd meeting. Do I hear a motion for that?
Move approval.
I second.
Great. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And all against, please say nay. Great, so that passes. And then we'll continue on to the reports. Also, I expect this to be kind of a shorter meeting, so just a little heads up, which is nice. But yeah, it's great. We didn't hear from the police reports last meeting, so very glad to have both of you here. So how about we start with OPD report, if you'd like to take it off, Laura.
You know, I totally forgot about having reviewed the reports from the last week. I would say that there's nothing significant. There's, I would say, recurring, maybe it's more noticeable because not as many people are in town, but drug issues. There's the mental illness issues stick out a little bit more. Maybe some domestic problems. Probably the things that you could imagine are happening when in a position like this. I would, the last week, the weather has not been conducive for parties and gatherings and things like that. So I don't recall us really having many calls at all about that. Okay. Perhaps on last Saturday, maybe we did. And somebody clearly goes out and patrols for us. It's not a police officer. And so they call quite a few things in. So most of the time it's fine. The gatherings are in compliance and the people live there. Like for instance, 11 girls do live in a house and we're not going to touch that. So that's, in our book, that's okay. So, but we do still educate and inform to those groups that, you know, that are not quite living by the rules.
Right.
But they were receptive.
Well, our neighbors, this was a week ago, had a party, and because the ball came over in the yard, one of the participants came over, and I said to them, are you following the rules? And he said, yes, we only had 8 at this party. That made me feel good.
Yeah.
And I got to meet him.
There you go.
And are there any reports in terms of like crime, since a lot of students have moved out and there's empty homes? Have you seen anything happen with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, nothing this last week. I would say nothing that has been consistent. You know, over the last month or month and a half, there's probably been a couple incidents of some kind of theft from a student housing area, but nothing that has been a problem, I would say, you know, a more widespread problem.
Okay. Another thing is, I know that a few police departments in the like Ohio, like Southwest Ohio area, have decided to not report on like non-emergency calls to 911. Have you decided to follow in that any way, or are you?
Okay, so we offer online reporting for a number of certain calls, which are mostly theft, property damage, fraud reports in which there are no suspects. Okay, so if your side view mirror got knocked off, or if a bicycle was stolen randomly from your back porch, that's the kind of report that we're talking about. Andrew helped create that, so it's been great. Now, it hasn't always been used. And when I say appropriately, I don't mean in a bad way. People are, they often try to make this, you know, square peg or round peg fit into this square hole, or whatever the term is, So they just, a lot of times they're just shy. They don't want to make an official report. So they'll report a burglary or, you know, a confrontation and list it under a theft report. And so it could be way more severe. It might just be extra patrol that they were freaked out about something, but they want to report it without talking to anybody. And that's fine. I mean, I think that's fine. But that's offered. We will call. We try to trust our dispatchers fielding these reports, and then we will have them. We will communicate with them via telephone and take a report from there if we don't need to see anything. So we do try to keep the distance. Try to be very separate from them if we can. But regardless, we have to deal with people all the time, face to face, and so we'll do it when we can.
Okay.
I got a question for you, Laura. Do you guys have all the PPE you need?
I would say yes. You know, we do have the 95 masks, although do we have enough? You know, I don't know if there's ever enough.
All right.
We have plenty of gloves. That's good. I mean, so in our world, it's kind of gloves and masks. And if we were to go to something where, let's just say a crime scene where we know the person's been very sick or something, you know, it could happen. We would have the fire department outfit us in the gown, the Tyvek suit and all that kind of stuff. So we have a partnership with them that they will help secure us.
Okay.
But you know what? It's just, I've seen the officers and there's just circumstances where they just aren't wearing it because something happened like that. And so it's unfortunate. I think they try to keep their distance. They put a mask on if they can, but so much of our job is unpredictable. So you just don't to use it. You don't think you're going to have to, and then all of a sudden you do. And then it's too late.
Right. Okay. And then I see in the chat area, if everyone can go to that, from MUPD, apparently his microphone isn't working. So he's just reporting that they've been busy with building checks and property checks.
Well,
and
hey, Andy, can you hear us now? Or could you talk to see if we can hear you? Okay.
and that they're good on supply for their officers with protective equipment. Just like a few issues on campus with a group of 10 or more students playing sports. So that's good. If you ever want to add anything else throughout the meeting, feel free, and we'll just check the chat regularly. But thank you very much for both of you for coming in. And then we don't have any old business, so we'll continue into new business. So there was a request to speak a little bit about students returning to Oxford to move out, and then also those students that are unable to return to Oxford to move out. Was there anyone in particular that wanted to speak on this?
Laura, I think that you had suggested this is a topic, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little lost about the students that are unable to return to move out. Is that more of a civil thing with the landlords? Like, what do we do with the stuff, or is that what you mean?
Well, let's talk about those separately.
Okay, so let's start about the students returning to Oxford to move out. So we could see possibly a wave of thousands of students returning to Oxford, either spread out over a few weeks or that last weekend when graduation was supposed to happen. And obviously that poses some concerns in terms of like the health of our community. And there's no real like perfect solution to that. I know that a few of the rental companies have become a little more lax with that, and some of them are sticking to the lease contracts. I know that Red Brick Property, which is like one of the largest, if not the largest, has waived the fee for moving your things into the house for fall early. So if you want to like, that way you don't have to like bring everything all the way home, and people who are already in those properties can just like leave them through the summer for free and they don't have to come back. But I know that for like Park Place, which is another big one, is keeping really harshly to the deadline of that Monday morning after spring graduation is supposed to happen.
And
So
Claire, I think that Laura, probably you've been involved in the postings from the police department with recommendations that I thought was really, I thought it was timely, I thought it was clear, and and I thought it was interesting that even some parents were responding with positive reactions to that. But still,
There's a lot to impart, and I know we have a good followership on our social media, and it is pertinent. I mean, we're we want to put things out to the public that are that apply to us. Some people want us to put things out for them because
Yeah.
our followership is good, and it needs to be kind of centered around us. So I think that this does apply to us because we're the ones that are going to have to respond to these very awkward situations. And so I've chunked it up into different topics. Yeah, we could put this big, massive post on, but let me tell you, ain't nobody reading
right.
diddly right now, except like highlights. Just a highlight is all that you can expect from that. Even what we've written, that might be too long. So trying to put it into little pieces, hoping that that we get a wide span of people to look at it. So we have some more. I'm going down in my list. We have a couple more posts that are coming up, and it might change. It might change with the if by May 1st, like my post about graduation parties might be different because I'm still basing it off of the 10 person max and the 6 foot distance, which I don't think that 6 foot distancing thing is going to go away for quite a while. But I have one about moving out parties. And that could be anytime. That could be anywhere in the next, I think I have that scheduled for a week from today. And and I've got another one going to be coming out about taking shifts. And I know Jessica alluded to it in some of her, in one of her publications. And we had the same idea of arranging for different shifts. So if you got 4 people in the household, each family takes a different time frame, and the other families honor that and leave, get out, go do something else, but give them their space. So, that's just more of an honor system type of a tactic, but it's an idea. So I go into that a little bit more in detail. And then, like I said, we have that one. We have just moving out parties and assemblies, and I'm trying to get that message to the parents, which I know a lot of parents are going to be very good, but you put some drinks in those parents, and they're not going to be so good. And they're going to be like, this is their last experience. This was a quote from one of the parents on that Miami Parents page is, this is what we've raised them for since they were born, is this graduation experience, which I think is a ridiculous statement. But anyway, some believe that. And so I think we're going to be battling some parents that are going to be trying to contradict us and say, no, this is gotten out of hand and this has gone too far. And then they're going to be drinking, and it's just not going to be a good scenario. So I guess one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up is because any other avenue that anybody has for relaying that information is welcome. And I think if we just keep hitting it from different angles, not everybody follows our social media.
Right.
So if they follow another organization's social media, let's push it out there. Just like try to keep that message consistent.
And Laura, do you find that the followership on the police posting is much higher than still on the Oxford newsletter? because I'm wondering if maybe you could encourage your followers to go to that site for the city and follow that as well, so that they could continue to reinforce. And I think your point is well taken, that you shouldn't be responsible for advising everybody on everything, but on things that relate to policing matters.
Yeah, and we're in public health. I mean, I think it's important. I mean, it's a community epidemic, you know, nationwide, worldwide epidemic. So we all have a stake in this. Yeah, I don't know. Our followers we got about 20,000 followers, and so you know.
I would guess that's significantly higher because you've been around longer than the new city posting.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see the city one build.
Yeah, and I think that one, and Jessica, I wish you were here to help me out with that. I don't know if she uses that, like she sends it via emails. It's also, I don't know how she gets the emails to send it. Maybe it's
people have to offer them their email. They have to join the site, but I also believe there's a Facebook site so that it's, Andrew, isn't that right? That it's simultaneously posted to Facebook and email?
Not necessarily. There are things that come out through the City of Oxford, Ohio administration Facebook page that are sometimes included in the email newsletters, but not always. Yeah, you can sign up for the newsletter on the City of Oxford homepage. Just scroll down to the bottom of the page, and I think it's email newsletter sign up. And we have several thousand email addresses signed up through the newsletter, and you can sign up with your interests too. So I think some of the interests are Oxford area trails, administrative updates, historic buildings and development, things like that.
And that's not a whole lot of college kids that are going to be signing up for that. So there's the whole demographic, Steve, that may not, that are just like, if I can't get it on social media, I don't need it.
So Laura, we could also, through Claire and ASG, we could repost some of your stuff. And then also, I don't know if you send stuff to Mark Pontius, or if you want to send it to me, I could have Mark put that up on our parents' Facebook page.
Well, I do know that a couple of our posts recently were shared onto the parents' Facebook page.
Okay.
I know Jessica said to that whole group, Jane and Ted Pickerel and Mark.
Okay. So if Jessica's getting there, it'll trickle down to Mark Pontius and Jen O'Brien. And
he's just saying that I'm posting things to be like watchful for it. So maybe I should go around it a different way. Maybe I should be notifying everybody, hey, I just sent something out about this. So you can share it right away instead of happening across it.
Yep. What I'll do is I'll send Mark a message and ask him to start watching for those. Cause it's, because the other thing that's going to happen, I think if I heard so the other thing we're telling our on-campus students that left all of their belongings is that once the governor lifts the stay-at-home order, we'll make arrangements to come back. So without knowing the details of what was announced yesterday, it sounds like that may be in the works. So it could also, we also could have a round of people coming in shifts to get their stuff out of the residence halls at some point during this time. I'm not sure exactly what, I'm just waiting for more clarification as to what the governor really announced yesterday.
I just watched some of it today and I still don't know what, I think I watched 40 minutes and I'm like, I don't have any idea what he said. But let me get also with Jessica and I'll see if I can just push that before that stuff gets published, go ahead and make sure everybody has that message.
Okay. Yeah, because if you want to, I know that Mark, even if you want to do a timing thing, if you tell him what's going on like at 2:45, he'll send it out at 2:46.
Sure.
So everybody's.
Okay. I'll find that out from my end too.
Hey, Scott.
Do we think that there are going to be a number of students who will simply abandon things? And then there's, some would be on campus and some would be off campus. And then there's all this stuff to be dealt with that, I would think we social service agencies would want to get involved with in some way, possibly.
So I know hey, Steve, from an on-campus perspective, and I think we might have to wait to see how this plays out. So we have contracted with a third-party vendor. So if you live in Colorado and you can't come back, or if you live in Middletown and can't come back, and you want to hire this company, they will come in all their protective gear, pack
Yeah.
your stuff up for it and store it for you, or pack it up and ship it to you for additional cost. So I clearly we're probably gonna have people that live halfway across the country that will take us up on that. But I think the expectation is most people will probably come get their stuff from campus.
I would hope so.
Hey, Scott. I've been doing that calling campaign, and the biggest question that I have is when can I come and get my stuff? So I'm just wondering, I'm guessing as soon as you guys figure out how you want to go about that, you're sending that email out to all the,
Yep.
the students.
Yeah, so Glenn, our message and from the call center, our message is as soon as the governor lifts the stay-at-home order, we'll come up with instructions on how to do that. So I don't know that we have the instructions yet, but that's why I was trying to figure out yesterday if on May 1st, if he signaled that he's going to lift that stay-at-home order, because we will, and that's the most asked question we get from our campus students: when can I come get my stuff? Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to just add, as far as communication that's going out about coming back or just moving out right now. I got a great email as an off-campus graduate student today, just outlining, here's what to do. And also it linked out to the City of Oxford webpage with suggestions for moving out during quarantine. So we're getting that.
Good.
Okay, that's great. How about we move on a little bit to students who are unable to come back to Oxford to move out? I mean, you kind of touched on it, Scott, about the company that's willing to help out with that. But I just wanted to hear if there are any other
Well, should we talk about ShareFest first?
Yeah, let's talk about ShareFest. Yeah.
Okay, so I got an update from the ShareFest board a little while ago. ShareFest 2020 has been canceled. They are going to be working on messages and guidance for what to do with things, taking safety precautions for people moving out. They are going to be working with the OPD and OFD to make suggestions for donating items. They don't know how that's going to play out just yet. The local Goodwill store will be taking items on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 10 to 6. But staff has to be on site during drop off. And I saw on the Goodwill's Facebook page, I believe you have to drop it off outside. You can't enter the building. They're going to be encouraging property managers to retain reusable furniture if possible. And then food and personal items can be donated to Tops Pantry on certain days, which are Monday through Saturday from 12 to 5. And staff must be on site for drop off. So they don't want people just dropping things off at these organizations. And Rob Abowitz is going to be working with the city and ShareFest to get the word out for the on-campus students.
Good to know. Yeah, definitely a tricky situation, but I think it is going to be pretty a messy jumble of days when everyone's moving out. But hopefully, and are those all are those all set things that are happening, or are they still kind of in the works? Like Goodwill and the pantry.
Well, Goodwill's open. Well, they're open for drop-offs.
Okay.
As it is, and so is the pantry. But it's not going to be connected to ShareFest. There won't be marketing efforts for ShareFest because it's going to be spread out, over a month.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just going to encourage people to donate what they can. And I'm sure that we're going to see a large amount of things go to Rumpke. I've been involved with ShareFest since 2006. And a lot of the people who I know who volunteered said that they would not volunteer this year just out of their own personal safety.
So Andrew, I was going to ask that question about personal safety. So I guess, a lot of ShareFest and being around for 10 years and with the kids, a lot of those are a lot of them are the high school sports teams and stuff like that, volunteer and go do it. I'm assuming
there won't be those The students won't be asked to participate.
Okay,
ShareFest 2020 is canceled.
okay,
So we should all just be very clear about that.
okay.
Yeah.
So then that means that we'll have more issues with pickers.
Yeah. And that's why the ShareFest board will be in communication with the police department and the fire department to.
Yeah, because if we were to say that it's canceled, the next question is going to be, well, then what do we do with this stuff? And so then on top of saying it's canceled, yeah, I think every entity needs to say, okay, here's what you need to do with it. I know. It's one of those situations. I almost wish the pickers would just come get the big stuff and do it quietly.
Well, or we have to maybe consider a moratorium on the picking issue to allow it to happen and not try to over stress you folks.
The picking happens each year anyway. The problems in the past wasn't necessarily the people taking stuff from the sides of the streets. It was the people who were ripping open bags, and then there would just be garbage lined up on the streets. I'm sure that Joy and Laura and anybody who was here before 2007 can remember how filthy Oxford was during graduation. That was the real problem. It's not the people just taking a piece of furniture off the road.
In fact, I think they're doing us a favor when they do that, but yeah, but you can't discriminate. Like you can't just pick up, well, you're okay to do that, but you're not okay to look at a bag, or it's just.
Yep.
Very tricky. Okay, how about
is there any way that we could consider getting dumpsters that would be strategically placed so that folks would be putting things into dumpsters rather than leaving them right at their residential address?
I don't think that would be feasible. We have asked the students on that move out page on the city website to let us know in advance if they're putting out a large number of items, so then the city can contact Rumpke directly. But I don't see students taking time to move furniture, from their residence, loading it up and then unloading it somewhere else when Rumpke picks up from the curb.
Is this an area where the Miami police could also help in the city during those weeks?
To do
Andy,
what?
I know you can't, I know you're hearing us, but I don't know if you're still online and could respond to that in any way, or if you could at least run it up the flagpole out there and see.
Are you talking about just for the scavengers?
Yeah, basically.
I'm not even sure that a lot of people, I mean, maybe some people won't mind, but I would think that the virus may dissuade some people from even wanting to pick things up off of the sides of the roads because they don't know where it's been.
No, I don't agree, unfortunately.
Andy says we can discuss that with OPD and see if we can help. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other specific things that anyone would like to propose to better the situation in any way, or
I'd like to put in first dibs for any cars that are left behind for Oxford seniors.
Got it. Put it in the minutes. But continuing on, I will pass it over to Ms. Amy Misechko for a little physical activity challenge.
Thank you. And just real briefly, the Coalition for Healthy Community, normally around this time, and we've always had great support from the student body and the community at large. We've participated in the American Heart Association's Walk Challenge in April. But we've wanted to, for both physical and mental health reasons, encourage people to just be active with by themselves or with members of their household. So this coming Monday, we are starting our challenge, and I can send out, actually, Andrew has been a huge help. So thank you, Andrew, in getting that website up and running for us, where folks can log their minutes of activity. It can be anything from yard work to dance party in the living room to a full out cardio workout, whatever works for best for you. But we're just trying to see how many minutes we can get as a community. And we would love, if Miami students from afar, you're part of our community, we would love for you to join in and be a part of our minutes. We're trying to get 40,000 minutes for the week, which I think is very doable for the Oxford area. So if there's any way for students who are still here on campus and or students who are back home, we want you to be part of it. And it's just to get people moving and for mental health reasons too. We think this is a really important thing. So there's a flyer about it. And if you go on the healthyoxfordarea.org/challenge, that's where you can log your steps, or no, excuse me, your minutes of activity. And then we're going to let the winners, 4 winners, choose a local place. And for students, we'll wait for you to get back if you want to, a local restaurant or a local retailer. And you're going to give gift certificates of your choice to support our local economy.
Okay, great.
So I can get the flyer out to everybody, but just wanted to promote it as a way to kind of come together as a community and get people moving.
Hey, Amy, I had a thought.
Yes.
And I never see anybody promote this, but everybody promotes the oat trails, which I think are fantastic, by the way.
Yes.
But Miami has 17 plus miles of trails, which one summer, Mike and I printed the map off and walked all 17 miles as a challenge to ourselves.
Nice.
But if maybe Rox wants to promote that, there is a link. You can just print it off of the Miami website. And you can see each trail individually, as well as printing the whole map off. But I thought maybe somebody would want to promote that. I never see anybody promote that because you only maybe know a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with now that the weather might start getting nice this next week,
Hopefully.
people can get out and try some different trails that maybe they haven't tried before.
Great
Nice.
idea. I will definitely make sure that happens, Jennifer. Thank you.
Oh, welcome.
Hey, Amy, I think Rox, if somebody wants to film it, I bet Rox would go out and walk the trails.
You think?
I bet he would.
I like it. Thanks, guys.
Rox is a pretty good dancer though, so we don't want to take that from him.
Awesome. Well, so
Yeah.
yeah.
On that website, where is that challenge, or what was it called again?
healthyoxfordarea.org/challenge. It should
Oh,
be.
okay.
Yeah, we got that link, and I need to put it. Monday is when it starts, and so I need to make sure everything's ready. I put out a promotional video this week, but yeah, we'll make sure that everybody has where to go to start logging their minutes. And if you log your minutes 7 times, your name gets in there 7 times. So the advantage of logging each day is to incentivize for the drawing.
Hey, Amy, can you send that to me as well, and I'll get it? Or do Jen and Mark have that? Do you know? If you get that link to me, I'll get them to put it out as well.
Thank you, everybody. I think it'd just be a fun way to celebrate something that we can still do together. So I appreciate it.
That is nice. Thank you for sharing. That's
absolutely.
Here, let's pivot a little bit to just like general announcements. So something happening for especially like my grade, my class. I think I mentioned this, but there's like the weekend of September 11th, 12th, and 13th of this year, where we'll have like a makeshift like graduation ceremony for the seniors. So this does mean that there's going to be a survey going out in about mid-May to kind of like figure out how many students are going to be returning to campus with their families in September. But it's just something to look out for, that there's probably going to be a few thousand more students than usual on campus that weekend, in addition to the other 4 grades. So yeah, just something to keep on your radar. A lot of more people coming in, and it's gonna be pretty busy. That's still gonna happen. We'll see.
Is that definite? Because I mentioned that to a group and they were like, oh, we'll see if it happens, kind of things.
As long as the pandemic doesn't continue into the fall, it's a set date.
Okay.
And there's going to be a football game that day. So once they figure out the exact timing of that game, we can figure out the ceremonies that go along with it. There won't be a full, like, all-inclusive commencement ceremony as of now. It's just going to be divisional. So by school, like whether you're in like engineering or like in business. But yeah, so we'll figure out about mid-May how many people to expect.
Okay.
Precisely. And now I just want to open up the floor kind of for anyone who'd like to mention something or have any general announcements they thought we should all know about. So yeah.
One of my staff people coordinates the backpack program. And for anybody wanting some activity, at 1:30 this Tuesday in the alley between the police department and St. Mary's, they need help unloading the truck, which is, she's been notified it's going to be an extra large order of boxes that will be delivered, but it's the last box delivery that she'll be having until fall, which is kind of the scary side of things, but many of the usual volunteers are not available. So they need help. And the good news is that they don't have to carry it up to the second floor. They're able to use the first floor of the, what's the formal name of that building?
Parish.
It's
the parish center.
The parish center. So if we could get that word out some way to students that are still in town, any help that Miami could provide in pushing that out, we'd really appreciate for Jean and her crew.
Okay. Anyone else that'd like to add anything?
I would add something about scooters. I don't know the status of scooters as we plan for it going into the fall, but the person who spoke to me would like to see some sort of emphasis by whichever committee or whoever hires them to make scooters safety first, and then when they're done with them, they don't just toss them by the side of the street, but there are specific parking places. And just to give it a little bit more structure for what the process of how it will happen. I think the scooters have been really, really good. But as things disintegrated this spring, you see them here and there, and I don't know if we'll have scooters next year.
Right.
Next fall.
Right, definitely something to check in about. I can ask the campus director or whoever's in charge of that what their plans are. And I can
And Bird, I think they've already laid off 30 to 40% of their staff this week. So that was in the news yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how these companies fare through all of this.
I had a chamber meeting yesterday in the morning. It's official. We're canceling the wine festival. I know. We're hoping to maybe do something maybe on that weekend when all the seniors are coming back for graduation, something a little smaller, because we do use that revenue for a lot of things in the community, for scholarships and so forth. But unfortunately, we had to cancel. So that's the big news, unfortunately.
Hey, Jennifer, did you still have the permitting for it, like the K1 permits and all that?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not on the committee for the wine festival.
Those usually come, I think, in May, Glenn. So
I was having a conversation with a couple of people regarding, like the wine festival and the Dora and other things like that may help jumpstart our economy. And I'm just wondering if, I know you said that it's canceled, but possibly following through with those permittings just in case during that particular time period, like you said, with the graduation happening later, that you may be able to use some sort of event So I wouldn't completely abandon getting those permits just in case.
Okay, I'll mention that. There's also, I'm in the Kiwanis, and we are planning a mini food drive for just 3 items. And you'll probably hear more of that if you haven't heard yet, for tops. For peanut butter and toilet paper and tuna fish, just 3 specific items that they're in need of. And that food drive would be for May the 7th. And we're being asked for just Kiwanis members and to ask 10 of our friends to collect these items and either bring them to our house or to bring them to the food pantry on that day. So I'll send something to Andrew. They'll have that letter and then he can distribute it to you guys as well. So that you can either add that to your click list or to your grocery shopping and have that if you want to provide that as well. So.
Well, toilet paper, tuna, and peanut butter, that describes my last month.
Right?
I've lost 10 pounds.
I guess they're really into those
Congrats.
things. So, but I think that's really all the big exciting news that's going on my end of things. I can't really think of too much else. I'm also on that same meeting, I guess, just superintendent did say that they've gotten permitted to provide food through the summer. Amy knows that as well. So that's good. So our students in the community will be able to be fed all summer long. So that's good news.
Can I ask also, I think at the last meeting you mentioned some kind of survey of local businesses through the chamber. Do you have any feedback?
I haven't seen any feedback on that yet. So I don't know if that's been completed or they haven't got, if they haven't completed the survey or they haven't got the data yet. But I do know that it's the people that I have talked to in small business in Oxford are very defeated. Like with the PPP for the paycheck support money, the government was supposed to be able to provide for small businesses, basically went to businesses up to 500 employees. So a lot of small businesses that aren't so small got funded first. And so a lot of our particular small businesses, which are much smaller than 500 employees, have not received funding for the Paycheck Protection Plan.
Can I jump on that as well?
Excuse me?
Say, can I jump on that statement that you just made as well?
Sure.
So as a result of that, last Tuesday, the city council approved the change of the Community Improvement Corporation's revolving loan fund to include applications for payroll loans.
Right.
So if you are a student or if you work in Oxford or some individuals that work in Oxford, have them contact the managers or the owners to let them know that they can apply to get a loan from our revolving loan fund to pay payroll.
Right.
Along with that, there is an application to request that the city buy gift cards from your establishment. And, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. But yeah, businesses can apply for the city to buy gift cards from their businesses, and then the city is going to resell those at a later date. I believe it's going to be in August or September. But if you are an employee of a small business in Oxford, or somebody who is an employee of a small business in Oxford, please have them inform their managers or the owners that they have these opportunities available to them through the city.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, that is really important because Oxford is so small, and I know that the businesses are hurting. They are really feeling a lot of love and support from our local community, but not so much from the larger world itself, unfortunately.
Okay. some good updates. And good to hear that that was approved by the council moving forward. I think that's a really good idea. Any other updates or announcements?
Claire, I just have a quick question. Do we only have one more meeting this spring, or do we have two? I feel like there was maybe some conversation in the last meeting about meeting a few times over the summer, but I didn't know if we had, decided anything one way or the other on that.
As of now, we just have the May 1st meeting scheduled, but I'd be in favor of continuing another one. We could even just start with, school is still in session for us through the 15th, so we could meet on that day if you would all like to do so. Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
So I know that's finals week for the students. I don't know if most of you will be done by that point and happy to meet, or if you'll still have finals due that day, or where you all will be. That's certainly, I think, the priority that week. But yeah, let us know.
Should we do a survey, like a doodle survey, to see everyone's availability? Or should there be a vote to see if people want to meet another time beyond?
Is there one that feels strongly that we should not meet anymore on that week?
Well, there are an awful lot of things that are going on that we don't know now, but
Right.
we may know May 1. So maybe just a commitment to an update meeting or something like that, because we'll know these things, they've been scheduled, and maybe can help with arranging what needs to be arranged, or what's an open hole of, I think most of us will probably be here.
So maybe we should revisit it on May 1st.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
sounds good. Okay, I think we've mostly covered all of it. Just a little heads up for next meeting. If you have any specific agenda items that you'd like to bring forward, please email them to either Andrew or I by Tuesday beforehand at 5 p.m. It's just a little harder to read the room online. So if there's something you'd like to bring up, it'd be great to plan for it and everyone can know ahead of time. And that's my piece.
And so that's, what day is that?
That is, that would be Tuesday, April 28th.
Okay.
Yeah. Before the May 1st meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other than that, it was great hearing from you all and seeing your lovely faces. And with that, I'll call for an adjournment.
I so move.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone against? Okay, great. So meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming, and
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Claire.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.